based on the organizing committee and the faces behind all of the hard work. Then we'll move on to our main event, which is the opening ceremony. First, we would like to invite SPE Kuala Lumpur Chairperson, Mr. Muhammad Abu Bakar, for welcoming remarks, followed by opening remarks by Asia Pacific University Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Vinesh. And then last but not least, the highlight of the event, keynote speech by SPE President, Dr. Thomas Blessing-Game. Without further ado, please allow me to introduce you to my co-project manager, Abdallah El Badoui, who has worked along me side by side in delivering this exciting event. Abdallah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fatin, for the amazing introduction. Welcome everyone from around the globe. I'm joining you from Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. It's a very big pleasure to have all of you today. So what is Saturdays for SPE? So if you see there is the S for SPE, we wanted it to rhyme. It was done on purpose. So this is the flagship event of the SPE Asia Pacific University Student Chapter in Malaysia. Next. So for background, our student chapter was established back in 2020, just in the midst of the pandemic. So when it was established, we were having a very hard time of getting people together, getting our members engaged. And as a new chapter, it was very difficult. So that's why we came with the vision of having a Saturday for SPE. Our main mission and vision for us, it was to promote a global exchange of ideas and knowledge and experiences between different student chapters and and sections. We also wanted to bring together different SPE chapters, because we thought that it was a really great opportunity for us to network, especially in the virtual world. So our university is not only known, Asia Pacific University is not only known to be one of the most innovative and diverse university in Malaysia, but it is also known as the most technological. So we thought of blending innovation and technology to bring together Saturday for SPE. We wanted to equip our audience, our members, and our participants with the necessary skills to cope with the evolving industry, because we believe that the industry is evolving, and so should we. Finally, it was for us to create a networking platform between SPE organization, and I think we're doing just right by bringing together 8 student chapters for this third installment. Next. So summary for Saturday for SPE 2.0, where we went for the first time at Global. We partnered with the University of Houston in Texas, Imperial College in London, and FP School in Paris. So I think all of us, we know how fine, this is one of the most finest universities in petroleum around the world. This summary of the Saturday 2.0, last year, it accounted 5 Saturdays, more than 11 speakers, about 3,000 views and 4,000 engagement. So to account for SPE, we had about 250 students registered from 33 countries, 6 universities, and in total 40 SPE student chapters. So to advance in our mission, we thought that this time we wanted to collaborate further and have more collaborators. Hence, we're having Saturday for SPE 3.0. Next. So these are the organizing chapters for this year. So we have Asia Pacific University, in which I represent. There is the Kuala Lumpur section, young professionals, which are our primary collaborator that have been helping us and keeping a lot of the resources to make this event happen. And it is shadowed by the immense presence and hugely represented team in today's event. Secondly, we have SPE Institute Technology in India, SPE Imperial College in London, SPE Northern Emirates section, which is one of the hosts of ITCE this year. So we're very proud to have them in our event also. We have the University of Aberdeen in the United Kingdom, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies in India. We have the University of Nigeria in Nigeria. We have the Institute of Sepuluh November in Indonesia, as well as the Islamic University of Riau, also in Indonesia. And finally, we have one of the Middle East, which is the Sultan Qaboos University in Oman. Next. So yeah, so to sum up, that was Saturday for SPE 2.0. I would like to welcome you to Saturday for SPE 3.0. And this is this event, Saturday for SPE 2.0, has led our student chapter to be recognized as one of the Excellence Award winners this year in 2021. But also you can see we are featured in one of the leading newspapers in Malaysia, which is The News, for the hard work that you have exhibit. And we hope that Saturday for SPE remains our annual event. We hope to collaborate with more chapters, more sections, and more people, keep rotating, keep learning, and that we show the diversity of our idea organization. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fatin. I think I will get it back to you. The show should continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Abdallah. I hope everyone is now fully aware of what Saturdays for SPE is about and exactly what to anticipate. Should you require more information, simply scan QR code here, which is on my virtual background at the top right corner here for event schedule for all of the Saturdays. Please register now. You may increase the size of my window in the side-by-side view so you're able to scan it. Okay, put in side-by-side view. Now moving forward, I would like to invite my SPE Young Professionals comrade, Hazik, who will now share with you the sweat and effort of the people behind the scene. Over to you, Hazik.
All right, thank you, Fatih. Yeah, my name is Hazik. I'm currently a reservoir engineer with ExxonMobil, and I am a committee member of the SPEKL Young Professionals. So before I introduce you to the team behind Saturday for SPE, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown of what we have in store for the coming Saturdays. So we started strong with a data analytics workshop by Petronas Ikmal Irshad just 2.5 hours ago, with an exciting discussion about remote and unplanned operations right after the opening ceremony now. On the second Saturday, we have an exciting simulation showcase workshop where we will showcase multiple reservoir simulators, followed by a talk on petroleum economics and its impact in driving operations and business decisions in the industry. The week after, on the third Saturday, we will have a career workshop in store, which I think will be hugely beneficial to anyone aiming to begin or transform the career in the oil and gas industry. Followed with a technical talk on the energy transition, which is certainly transforming oil and gas careers today. To complete the workshops and talks, on the fourth Saturday, we have a workshop on entrepreneurship in the oil and gas industry, followed by a continuing success story of exploration and production in Guyana, known as the gift that keeps on giving. We round it all off on the fifth Saturday with the SPE Global Meeting. All right, can we go next? Yeah, I'd now like to introduce you to the hardworking committee members behind this event. So a little video to start that off.
We're very proud to host Saturday for SPE. We are SPE.
Hi there, my name is Fatin Fariha and I'm from SPE Kuala Lumpur Young Professionals. SPE rocks! Terima kasih! Bye-bye!
Hi, my name is Adrian Saputra. I'm from SPE URC Indonesia with our tagline SPE URC, we are SPE and responsible to advance. Terima kasih!
Hi there, my name is Amir Bazli and I am from SPE Kuala Lumpur Section Malaysia, giving a shout out #WeAreSPE. Yeah!
Hi, my name is Namawan Shah from SPE UIR-SC Indonesia. Our slogan is responsible to advance. Terima kasih.
Hi, I'm Glory Ujujuku Amanigwe from the SPE University of Nigeria Nsukka Student Chapter. SPE rocks! Dalu.
Hi, I'm Ibrahim Shivani. I come from Libya and I am the Vice President at SPE ABU Student Chapter. We are glad to be hosting Saturday for SPE, and SPE is keeping on sharing knowledge. Shukran.
Hello, my name is Liam Lim and I am from the SPE Kuala Lumpur Section Young Professionals in Malaysia. And I am proud to be part of the SPE Global Community. Terima kasih.
Hi, my name is Mabel and I'm from SPE YP Kuala Lumpur.
Hello, my name is Muhammad and I'm from Turkmenistan representing SPE Society Student Chapter. We are SPE. Spasiba.
Hi everyone, my name is Nohana Jihan and I'm from SPE KL. I'm proud to be part of SPE and keep up the good work. Terima kasih.
Hello SPE engineers, this is Rahmi and I'm from SPE URSC, Riau, Indonesia, and our slogan is responsible to advance. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, I'm Jen from SPE ITSSC Indonesia, and together, let's lead the change. Terima kasih.
Hello everyone, I'm Olin from SPE ITSSC Indonesia. Let's lead the change. Matur nuwun.
Hi, I'm Lutfi from SPE ITSSC Indonesia. Let's lead the change. Hatur nuhun.
Hi everyone, I'm Dafar from SPE ITSSC Indonesia. Let's lead the change. Terima kasih.
Hello, my name is Radia from SPE Institut Teknologi 10 November Student Chapter. SPE Lead the Change. Matur nuwun.
Hi there, I'm Hazik from SPE KL and SPE rocks. Terima kasih.
Hi, I am Sonia Yenike. I'm from University of Nigeria, Student Chapter. I am from Nigeria, SPE Rocks, Dalu.
Hello everyone, I'm Aisa Tarkhini from SPE University of Aberdeen Student Chapter, and SPE rocks. Spasiba, shukran.
Hi, it's Maya from Morocco, representing SPE APU Student Chapter, and together for SPE. Shukran.
Hi, I'm Lita. I'm from SPU IRS Indonesia, and our slogan is Responsible to Advance. Terima kasih.
Greetings to one and all. My name is Shantan Shivam Chakrabarti, and I'm currently working as the president of the UPS SP Student Chapter from India. We are ecstatic to present Saturday for SP to all of you, and we believe that SP is for everyone. Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, it was absolutely refreshing to hear from some of our committee members. So let's not forget the contribution from each of them. Here's just a quick breakdown of some of the beautiful faces that have put in the hours to make this event a success. So we have our advisors with us, our project leads, secretaries, marketing team, North Emirates section, media team, technical team. Next. Yeah, we also have we have the leads for our technical talks and our workshops, followed by the individual members that make up each of the Saturdays for the technical talks and the workshops. So thanks again to the committees who have put in the hard work. All right, next. Okay, and finally, before I hand it back over to Fatih, here's a breakdown of the 5th Saturday. We have an exciting sharing with the SPE International Chair of Diversity and Inclusion, Zahra Al-Kalbi. And to complete the event, we will engage in a global meeting which aims to share some of the best practices, challenges, solutions, as well as success stories behind each of our SPE chapters and sections. So we will run a parallel meeting for that, a student chapters meeting, which brings together the 9 student chapters that have collaborated on this event, as well as a regional section meeting. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to extend the invitation to any of the regional sections that wishes to join us on the 5th Saturday. Hope to see you there. Back to you, Fatih.
Right. Thanks, Haziq, for showcasing the team. The experience and diversity in our team has directly contributed to the success of this event. Thanks very much, everyone. Now let's move on to the highlight of the event, the opening ceremony. Please welcome Encik Muhammad Abu Bakar from Petronas. Muhammad Abu Bakar is currently heading... Hello, I'm muted. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I can hear you.
Okay. Please welcome Encik Muhammad Abu Bakar from Petronas. Muhammad Abu Bakar is currently heading Resource Development Management, RDM, Sabah in Malaysia, Petronas Management, MPM, Petronas. He has 28 years of working experience in Petronas, including international assignment in Sudan operations and Iraq operations, in the area of field development area, reservoir management and surveillance, and production operations. Currently, he oversees all development and production and new opportunities in Sabah, including deep water fields, development and operations. He also spent 4 years of his career in Technology Division of Enhanced Oil Recovery, EOR Studies and Research. He holds Bachelor's in Petroleum Engineering from University Technology Malaysia. And now we would like to welcome and invite our chairman, Encik Muhammad Abu Bakar, to deliver his keynotes.
Thank you, Fatih. Can you all hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
All right. SPE rock, Fatih?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay. Let me start with Assalamualaikum and good day to all of you. Firstly, our distinguished guest, the president of SPE himself, Professor Dr. Thomas Bessingem, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Asia Pacific University, Professor Dr. Vinesh Thiruchalvum, industry leaders. As I know today, we have Mr. Zamri and also Mr. Tony, fellow colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you and welcome to the 3rd installment, the 2021 Saturday for SPE 3.0. This program is the sequel to the outstanding run last year. And we are very excited about bringing you the industry experts from all over the world, from the respective fields, right to your home. This year's Saturday for SPE program will be running for 5 Saturdays, starting from today until the 5th Saturday is on 2nd October. These highly prestigious workshops and technical talks will give you exclusive insights into the current industry trends, which will provide you a head start in setting your career in the industry. The program aims to be a valuable platform for experts from various fields in petroleum and energy industry, allowing exchange of best practices, introduction of upcoming technologies, and sharing of knowledge from the industry leaders. This event also serves as a platform for global networking, promoting teamwork, and enhancing soft skills among students and young professionals. Following the accomplishment of more than 1,000 viewers worldwide from last year Saturday for SPE programs, SPE Asia Pacific University Student Chapters aims to achieve more this year, of course, with the support and collaboration with SPE Kuala Lumpur Young Professionals, SPE Northern Emirates section, and also SPE student chapters around the globe. I would like, personally, to take this opportunity to thank and to congratulate the organizing committee for their effort, commitment, and dedication in developing an outstanding outline of the agenda and event. This collaboration really empowers the younger generation, instilling resilience and change amidst the unprecedented global COVID-19 pandemic in the history of time. So please join me and put your hands together to give the organizing committee a big round of applause. I also would like to thank and welcome the exceptional lineup of industry speakers or industry leaders who have agreed to impart their invaluable knowledge to the younger generation. Without your support, the rich continuity of experience and knowledge transfer will be lost over time. Finally, as we brace and step up to a carbon neutral future and aligning our pledge for carbon neutrality by 2050, the cooperation between bright minds and talents is needed more than ever. We need to encourage young minds to think outside the box, think about future, and supercharge the petroleum and energy industry using technology advancement, digitalization, and a greener future. Personally, I'm excited about seeing the direction of the young minds and younger minds, and look forward to attend this whole event. That's all from me. I wish everyone a most enjoyable and productive session. Thank you. We are SPE. Back to you, Fatih.
Thank you, Encik Muhammad Abu Bakar. We want to thank Encik Muhammad Abu Bakar, SPE Kuala Lumpur section, and Petronas for their continuous support to the section and chapters in contributing their valuable lessons learned. Definitely a mark of a global champion. Now, we would like to welcome Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor IRTS, Dr. Vinesh Thiruchalvum. Prof. Vinesh has over 25 years of experience in education, ICT, operations and maintenance, facility management, design and project management in various industries ranging from property, oil and gas, cooling plants, generation power plants, and the port industry. Prof. Vinesh has managed deliveries of international projects from all around the world in property sectors, oil and gas, and again, power plant industries. He is currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovation, and also Chief Innovation Officer for the APIIT Education Group. Please welcome Prof. Vinesh.
Yeah, thank you, Fatin. Very good evening to everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to be part of this event today. I'd like to also say thank you to Professor Thomas Blessingame. I see that you're from the Texas A&M. I used to support that university in football when you had Johnny Manziel playing for you guys some time back. But it's sad to know that Johnny Manziel is no more anywhere in the world of football, which I can watch. And also to Encik Muhammad Abu Bakar. for your kind words just now for this event this evening as well. And to all the professionals who are part of this event this evening. The Petroleum Program at APU has come a long way, even though it only started in 2016. It took us about a very short period to take it from an ideology to move into petroleum engineering. And when I started the idea, they said I was nuts because we are a very tech-based university, and all of a sudden you want to do something of a big scale like petroleum engineering. So I told them that it's based on demand and supply and also demographics of our students. And Abdullah is a perfect example of the demographics where we have a very good and strong international form or team of students on campus, even though most of them are learning remotely right now. But when we started, we had one goal, to run the program, to get as many students as we can into the program, to make the program a success. So when we started, what we did was, in our first cohort, our first batch, we had 6 students. And for the year, we managed to bring in 35 students. And that was a very good start to the program. Eventually, we went for accreditation of the program with the Board of Engineers. And it is the first program in APU's history to get the full accreditation of 6 years in its first audit. A testament of that is coming from the students, basically all stakeholders, but I can start with the students. The students who were audited and interviewed, their presence during the interview to showcase their talent and what knowledge and skills they have developed. Also, the academicians who have been part of the curriculum and how they have supported the program over the years. And I was a bit gung-ho at that time. I wanted to get SP student chapter at the first year itself. And then I was shot down and said that, no, you have to have that first graduate come out. And that's why we waited quite a number of years until we got the first graduate out. And then we started SPE. And I want to thank Ms. Harvin, who has been driving SPE, the student chapter, together with Abdullah and the chapter team, for being so successful, because it's not only what they do on a weekly basis, but it's also some of the successes they've gotten. Now they've got the Best Student Chapter award. They've also done a lot of talks and webinars and events like this. And they also strive and keep the motto of the university going, which is technology and innovation. And together with the academicians, we brought in a very good network of collaborators from the industry, the likes of Schlumberger, Petronas, and we do a lot of digitization work in support of Petronas as well. And that has taken a long time coming to form that relationship. And events like this has brought not only the students and academicians to connect with the industry, but they've also sort of fight the strength that we have in terms of talents. And we want to be the correct and very sturdy pipeline of building talents into the industry and the workforce. And I think what we have done with SPE is allowing us to take that further step into ensuring that we produce the correct talents for the industry. Yeah, so I'm very happy to be part of this this evening session. It's our third session, I was told, and hats off to Abdullah and the team for making this happen. And I hope this continues in a fruitful way. And you always have my support in terms of SPE student chapter. Thank you, everyone.
Hello.
We can hear you, Fateh.
Yep. Thank you, Professor Vinesh. Now, for the highlight of the event, I would like to welcome SPE President, Dr. Thomas Blessing-Game. Dr. Thomas Blessing-Game is a professor in the Department of Petroleum Engineering in Texas A&M University in College Station, Texas. He holds bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees from Texas A&M, all in petroleum engineering. In teaching and research activities, Blessing-Game focuses on petrophysics, reservoir engineering, diagnostics, analysis and interpretation of well performance, unconventional resources, and technical mathematics. Blessing-Game is the president of Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE, Society of Exploration Geophysics, SEG, and the American Association of Petroleum Geologists, APG. In addition, Blessingame has chaired numerous technical committees and technical conferences, symposiums, and workshops. Please welcome Dr. Thomas Blessingame.
Hello, everyone. I guess I should wait until I get centered in the stage. Okay, there we go. But I'm really small now. Oh, there I go. Hello, everyone. I have a few remarks to make to open your event, and stick around for a while after that as well. As your 2021 president, I sincerely thank the organizers of SBE for Saturday 3.0, which is known as S4SBE. And I want to thank you for inviting me to open this event, which is hosted by Asia Pacific University, SBE Student Chapter, and the SBE KL YP Group, along with the following collaborative groups. You know who they are, but I'm going to recognize them anyway because that's my job, and I need you to know I do appreciate everyone who participates. University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, the SBE Student Chapter in India, Northern Emirates Section in the UAE, the Islamic University of Riyadh in SBE Student Chapter in Indonesia, Sultan Qaboos University, SBE Student Chapter in UAE, University of Nigeria in Asaka, SBE Student Chapter in Nigeria, University of Aberdeen, SBE Student Chapter in UK, they prefer saying Scotland, Imperial College, London, which is the SBE Student Chapter in the UK, Institute Technology Septula in November, SBE Student Chapter in Indonesia, and then the Indian Institute of Technology, ISM, in Dhamad in SBE Student Chapter, which is also in India. As one or more of you will one day be standing or sitting where I am today, and hopefully not virtually, I'll tell you the absolute best part of this job, that is being SBE president, is being witness to the energy, the creativity, and the enthusiasm of our younger generation, all of whom are committed to creating a better energy future for the world. With an estimated population growth of slightly less than 1% per year over the next 30 years, and a growth in energy consumption of over 2% per year for the last 20 years, you really have your work laid out for you. Obviously, there could be cultural or technical evolutions that lead to less energy consumption, but that view is not realistic, especially since most of the increase in population and energy consumption will occur in the developing world. In other words, we have an increasing client base and an ever-increasing demand for energy. No one could or even still can imagine the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. For those of you who are geologists or geologically related, I always abuse this name, it's the Chicxulub scale event in many regards. And you're all saying, what is that? Recall that this refers to the 6-mile wide or 10-kilometer wide asteroid that impacted on what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. It's directly south of where we are, approximately 65 to 66 million years ago. This was an extinction level event that ended almost 200 million years of the reign of the dinosaurs, and it led to the dominance of mammals on Earth. Yep, that's a bit of hyperbole, but left unchecked, COVID-19 would have led to a cataclysmic event of the same scale. It's pretty dark, I'm sorry, but in some ways it's necessary to use such examples for your generation to realize and to understand that the world changed in many ways. Yes, fossil energy companies would comprise the vast majority of energy consumed in this, fossil energy comprises the vast majority of energy consumed on this planet, approximately 56% oil and gas, and approximately 80% if you add coal, maybe 82, 83%, depending on where you're at. And it will continue to be a major component of the energy mix for many decades to come. However, it is time to diversify our energy mix. We need to add more resources to the mix, and that is the definition that we use as energy transition. Could also be known as energy addition. Some people don't like to face the fact that energy addition or energy transition is upon us, but it's going to happen no matter what. That is why events such as this one inspire me. Your goals are aspirational, to continue to provide hydrocarbon resources while simultaneously building more substantive relationships with the public we serve and creating a path towards a more sustainable energy future. Your generation recognizes the challenges of energy transition. to continue to provide hydrocarbon-based energy, but with a significantly lower carbon intensity, and also maintaining the social impact of oil and gas as economic drivers. We provide a lot of good in the world. Your generation has both incredible opportunities and challenging responsibilities. I'm absolutely confident of your ability to deliver. Events such as the S4 SPE program are outstanding examples of knowledge sharing, progressive engagement, and a commitment to our role as a societal contributor. I give you my most sincere best wishes for your success in this endeavor, but I confess that I believe our industry is blessed to have people such as yourselves devoted to the cause for energy for all. I hereby declare the 2021 S4 SPE 3.0 open. I want to thank you and have a great event. And just so everybody remembers, of course, last week or earlier this week was the 64th anniversary or the 64th Independence Day for those of you who are in Malaysia, August 31st. So happy anniversary, happy Independence Day. And with that, I thank you again for the invitation, and I look forward to sticking around and talking to a few of you afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tom Blessingame. There are a lot of takeaways, and as the project manager, I would like to convey ours and my personal thanks for allocating his precious time for this event. It is 7 o'clock in the morning in Houston. As a Malaysian, I would like to say the Malay proverb, "Terima kasih daun keladi, semoga jumpa lagi," or in English terms, thanks and look forward to see you again, hopefully in person. Okay, we have come close to the end of the opening ceremony. I would like to thank again each and every one of you who contributed to the success of the event. I'm sure this event will definitely prepare you for the industry and the opportunities ahead. I wish you good luck and all the best in your future endeavors. And I would know that this series would profit you handsomely, especially in your career progression. So shukran jazilan, dalu, terima kasih, merci beaucoup, and thank you everyone. Without further ado, we would like to now officially start the first technical session titled Digital Remote and Unmanned Platforms. Please put your hands together for our very first technical session. Please stay and we will continue. Once more, a quick appreciation to our committees with a video collage. Okay, everyone, please turn on your videos. Let's have a photo session. Tom is smiling already. So let's smile, everyone.
Smile.
Atin have to lead the SPE rock, eh?
SPE rock. We are SPE.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, rock and roll.
Rock and roll, yeah.
Yeah, we have a cowboy here.
The cowboy lah. Okay.
Picture taken.
Managed to get all of them.
Yep.
Wow, very diverse. What a diversity, eh?
And
Encik Zamri, SPE Rock. Chenny.
Thank you.
Okay, please don't go anywhere. Stay in the meeting room and we will kick off our first technical session, Digital Remote and Unmanned Platform Operations by Mr. Zamrigani and Dr. Tony Edwards. With that, thank you very much. Please stay. And over to you.
Okay.
All right, hi guys. I am Noor. I am the Vice President of the SPE University of Aberdeen Student Chapter, and I'm going to be the host of this first technical talk. If I can just share my screen. Okay, just a second. Okay, so can you guys see my screen, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, amazing. Right, so our first technical talk is about unmanned platforms, and this was the team who prepared it. So it was me, Mariam, as well as Adrian and Preet and Amir, with the help of the organizers, of course. And let me present the two speakers for today. So we have Dr. Tony Edwards, and he's the CEO of Step Change Global Limited. He has combined his operational experience in running unmanned platforms with the application of digital technologies and major projects to advise on radically minimum manned and remotely operated project concepts that are lower in CapEx and OpEx while delivering improved safety and reliability. And there's also Mr. Zamrigani, and he's the Senior General Manager at Petronas. He has been working with Petronas for over 30 years. He has served in various upstream phases from exploration, development, commissioning, production, wells, and facilities, and many more. He also gave lots of speeches for SPE, but now let them present themselves. It would be better. So if Dr. Tony can talk a bit more about his career path. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nora and Fatin. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much for the invite to attend this excellent event. And also, it's great for me because I had a very happy year working with Petronas in Kuala Lumpur about 6-7 years ago. And that was a very fruitful and enjoyable time in my career. So it's great to be back working with you folks in KL. So just a little bit about my background. I spent 18 years in BP. I joined BP with a background in subsurface, basically a geologist with a side in chemistry as well. But I went through the BP graduate machine, and you go in as one thing and you come out as something else. And now I would regard my core competency would be operations and operations management, along with production engineering. The two things I'd like to highlight really, which has really got me to where I am today, is one, I spent the mid-90s running 22 unmanned platforms in BP Southern North Sea. And so I was responsible day to day for production, operations and maintenance of those 22 platforms. And along with the gas hubs which were there, at the time they were producing 15% of all of UK's gas. And that was excellent experience of how practically what the issues are in running unmanned operations. But later on in my career, once I'd done some work in projects, I got asked to join a team called the Field of the Future team. And the Field of the Future team was put together to explore what the implications were of the application of digital technologies and data and information to the way we run our operational assets and the way we look at building our new assets for greenfield new concepts. And so for me, it brought two parts of my career together. And since I left BP. I then moved to BG Group for 3 years and headed up their digital program. And then in 2009, I formed Step Change Global, and we've been advising a lot of companies ever since. So for me, this brings together two areas of my career. One, the digital transformation section, but also my operational background. And I think there's some very fruitful things that can be done by bringing these two areas, which are not often associated together. So that's me. Thank you.
Awesome, lovely. Thank you very much, Dr. Tony. Can Mr. Zamri talk? The floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everywhere you are. First is that thank you to the organizing committees to invite me. I feel this is very ad hoc, less than 2 weeks. Anyway, I feel grateful. When I asked both Noor and Fatin, who is the audience, they said students. So I'm glad. I'm glad to contribute something to the students or the young engineers or young talents. And I graduated from University of Portland, Oregon in the United States. I cannot afford to study on my own, so I got a scholarship. I was lucky. Petronas sponsored me. So I was graduated in electrical and also electronics. My senior design project at that time, I have two senior design projects. One is a wind turbine. Just imagine 30 over years ago, we already, United States very advanced, already talk about wind turbines. And last week in Petronas, we also discussed about to sanction one of the our pilot project on related to the wind turbine. Another project I had on my senior design project is a closed loop feedback for Ford Falcon engine. And along my career, I had opportunity to be posted internationally. I had posted to more than 5 countries, but together with my family, I was in Sudan in the first Moghlab Basin oil development projects. And then that was almost about 4 years. And then I went to Chad, Cameroon. After come back to Malaysia for a while, I went to Chad, Cameroon. This time is with, I was seconded to ExxonMobil. So I worked 4 years in Houston, near to Professor Thomas Place in Texas. And I also, after that, I worked in various departments and posted to Indonesia under the gas business unit in Uzbekistan. And also my last posting, international posting, was in Iraq. I come back in 2018 and I was posted to East Malaysia to a place called Terengganu. Along my career, I have a up and down in my career, including my student time. I think I'm facing all the top students, or if you guys have graduated, you must be graduated with a good grade. So I have all sort of scores, and Alhamdulillah, finally I graduated, and I did not disappoint my sponsor. But before I joined Petronas, actually, even though I'm a scholar, I didn't get a job because that was recession 1988. That was a bad time. So if anybody graduated during this time, COVID-19 is a challenging year, don't give up. I was 3 years before I joined Petronas, even though I was a scholar, until Petronas said, if you can get a job elsewhere, go ahead, Zamri. Right? So I worked for 4 companies. I hop on and off because it's very difficult to get a job in Malaysia at that time. And the last position before I joined Petronas, I was with Kellogg Brown & Root, and now I think it's Halliburton. So glad I joined Petronas in 1992, and as mentioned by Noor, I had about 29 years experience. So a couple of advice I want to share for the young engineers and students is first that always be grateful, don't be choosy. If you have any job opportunity, go for it while you get whatever you wanted to do in your life. Whatever you study is actually is a good ticket or good entry for you. It doesn't mean that you're a geologist. You cannot be working in as a maintenance engineer, as a field analytic engineers. I think world is ever changing. There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of abundance. Just don't be choosy. Just my humble advice. And number two is always be happy, be grateful to what you have. If you cannot get what you get, what you want, just be happy with what you have. Number three is try to be versatile. If you enter a job market later on, right? Try to be versatile as much as possible. You can go from one company to another, not one company, sorry. I've been in Petronas for 30 years, but I've been in various units in Petronas. So I've been over 16 times moved around by the Petronas. So the more you're versatile, the more you are ready, and the more you're more matured. And the last bit is be a forward-thinking person and be a change agent. Embrace the change. You cannot do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. So that's just my some piece of advice to my fellow students or the young engineers. Thank you very much. Back to you, Noor.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, let me just talk to you through about the structure of the talk. So it's going to be a debate and a discussion at the same time. And we will discuss approximately 7 questions. Each of the speakers will give their idea and their vision about the questions. And then we're going to go through the 7 questions. And at the end, there's going to be a small Q&A. And at the end of the talk, there's going to be a survey. And I'd really appreciate if you guys fill it at the end. Thank you. Then, Dr. Tony, the floor is yours. If you can please introduce us to the Step Change Global. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to introduce Step Change Global. Clearly, Zamri works for Petronas, and you all know what Petronas does. But Step Change, and if you can go to the next slide, Step Change is a small independent advisory and consultancy company that works in the area of digital transformation. But what makes us different is that we are primarily focused on how you use digital technology. So we do not develop or sell or implement digital technologies. We are most interested in how you get data and information used in frontline operations. We are mostly operations guys, drillers, reservoir engineers. We've been in the operating parts of companies like BP and Shell and many others. And so we think of this from an operational outcome point of view. And what we're very focused on is if you take all of these new technologies, whether it's drones, mobile worker, analytics, digital twins, and many, many more, what does it all add up to? And what we feel it adds up to are new operating models, which are digitally enabled, remotely controlled and operated, and potentially minimum staffed or even unmanned. And so that's what you get out of applying these technologies to your current operations. So we advise a lot of companies on how to do this. We also think, well, okay, if you're going to have less people on a platform, where do you put the people that you still need, like engineers? So we design remote operation centers. I know Petronas already has some of those, and they're actually reasonably common now. But we've been designing the latest and greatest centers over the last number of years, both for oil and gas clients and mining clients. We do provide independent digital technology advisory services, so we advise people on what kind of technologies they need and specifications, but we're really focused on how you change the way of working in operational environments and, on platforms where people may have worked there for 10, 15, or even 20 years, and nothing has much changed in that time scale. So how do you transform that way of working? The other thing we do is we're very interested in greenfield and brownfield operations and benchmarking. So we developed a benchmarking tool that we've now got 60 assets in that can tell you where your assets are in terms of digital enablement and remote operations. If I can just go to the next slide, please. We are very fortunate in the fact that we work globally. We have a network model is the way we work. So we have advisors all over the world, and we bring together teams to solve specific problems for our clients. We've been very fortunate to work with some great companies, including, Equinor, Statoil historically, but we've worked with all of the super majors. We've worked with some great mining companies, and we've worked in some great regions. In terms of minimum manning and unmanned platforms, we work with Total, BP, ExxonMobil, Equinor, Maersk, and many others. And we can show you some, we can talk about examples of that. If you're looking for a digital hotspot globally, the place to go is Australia. We believe that now they're at the forefront of the application of digital technologies and also these new operating models. And we've been fortunate to work with most of the operators in Australia, including the BHP mining company. If you go to the next section, here's just an example of the operation support centers, integrated operation centers that we've designed. And these range from very small land-based companies in the US, which are in unconventionals, which have got a few wells, all the way up to an operating center for BHP that supports the largest mine in the world with 16,000 people at site and has 36 remote control desks in Santiago. There's one aspect about unmanned operations, which is taking the people away from the platform. The other end is, well, what do you do with them? And how do you allow them to monitor these operations, remotely control these operations, and do all the engineering and work that they need to make these unmanned platforms viable? So that's the end of the little bit on Step Change Global. I've got a few slides on that would scene set unmanned operations. We see remote operations comes in 3 levels. The first one is remote operation support. So this is where you remove as much of the engineering and management as you can from an operational site and you locate them in these centers. A couple of these centers are in, one of these centers, the right-hand one is in Calgary. The bottom left-hand one is in Australia. The top one is also in Australia. One's in Adelaide, one's in Perth, and another one's in Europe. But these are centers where the operation support teams, engineering support teams doing production optimization, planning, and all of those things are co-located in those centers, and they're dedicated to supporting the assets in the field. If you look at the picture on the top left-hand side, you might just be able to see some people in blue. Now, those people in blue with blue shirts on are in the middle of Australia, and the people in the foreground of this picture are actually in Adelaide. So we're actually making one team work as though they're all together in the same room, operational. And these people are a 2-hour flight away on a propeller plane. So that's typically what we kind of do. So this is stage 1, remote operations and engineering support. If you go to stage 2, which is the next slide, this is about remotely controlling those assets in the field. So can you remotely control them? So the top one that you see on the left-hand side is Santos. They are now remotely controlling over 5,000 wells and all of the associated gas facilities from a room on the 17th floor of their building in Brisbane. And they've been doing that now for 7 or 8 years. So this is not new. This is not dependent on having digital twins or advanced analytics. It's basically good design and engineering and having a visionary operating model. The one on the bottom left-hand side is in Houston. It's actually up in Woodlands. This is a midstream company that's operating, remotely controlling 16,000 miles of pipelines across 4 states in the US. The one in the middle of the bottom is a mining example, BHP in Perth. They're remotely controlling 4 mines, a rail system and a port system from Perth. The one on the right-hand side is the largest mine in the world by tonnage per day, which is Escondida. It's a BHP operation. They are remotely controlling this mine with 39 control desks from Santiago, and this is up in the mountains in Chile. And then the one in the middle at the top is actually started out life as a Total operation, is now operated by Equinor. But again, this platform is remotely controlled from, I think it's from Bergen, and is offshore Norway. So this is the next phase. When do you move? You still have people at your operational sites. You have to, but you still remotely control them. And we've worked with a lot of clients on doing these kind of centers. If you go to the next slide, this is the next step, which is when do you go to fully unmanned operations? A lot of us are used to these tiny wellhead towers, which have been around for many, many years. And, I operated 22 of these in BP Southern North Sea. So, remote operations and unmanned operations is not new. It's been around for more than 30 odd years, even 40 odd years. But the difference is those platforms were very simple and had very little in terms of processing. But what you see, those two right-hand platforms, one is actually came online in the year 2000, so it's 20 years old. But even then, the visit frequency was once a quarter for 4 hours. The latest version of that, which is the one below, they're going to visit once a year. But these other operations you see, and the one you see in the middle is Angel. I mean, that's a gas condensate platform. It's doing 550 million standard cubic feet a day. It's doing 50,000 barrels of condensate. It's got all of the processing on there, and it's unmanned. And so what we're seeing now is there's a lot of projects that we've been working with on the greenfield side where you can take very highly complex operations and turn them to be unmanned. And we believe that the current state of the art is all gas projects, no matter how complicated they are, even if you have acid gas recovery and lots of compression, can be unmanned. And we believe that your kind of standard 100,000 barrel a day FPSO, even though that probably can't be unmanned at the moment, can be minimum manned. And we worked on a number of projects where they're heading for between 15 and 20 people, full-time crew, to do all of the maintenance long-term with no other maintenance crew coming on board. And for greenfield projects, if you can get in early enough, you know, you can significantly drop the capex. And we see it's between 20 and 50% reduction in the capex, and you can lower OPEX between 50 and 80%. And we've been doing enough projects over the last 10 years to prove these numbers up. Interestingly, when we started looking at this 10 years ago, we couldn't give this away. Nobody was interested because, you know, at $120 a barrel of oil, you could make money with a 20-year-old design or a 30-year-old design. It's only really since the oil price crashed that this has become a really hot topic. So that's all I've got is a little bit of introduction just to frame up, you know, where we are on that spectrum of minimum manning to unmanning, and the process of getting to that point, both for brownfield and for greenfield, is slightly different. Of course, with a brownfield, you are stuck with the equipment you've got and you can't redesign it from scratch. It's just too expensive. So often there's a limit on where you can get to with brownfields, but certainly with greenfields, there's a huge possibility out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tony, for the introduction. Now, excuse me. Sorry. Okay, that was a little summary as well. Do you want to talk about it?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
No? Okay, cool. Okay, we're gonna leave the questions till the end. Now, Mr. Zamri, the floor is yours. If you could also give us a small introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Noor. Thank you also to Dr. Tony Edward. I think a very impressive company, Step Change. It's a lot of experience that you shared today. For Petronas, I'm not going to share about Petronas as a group. I believe you can Google that. I'm just focused on my department. This is a quite recent reorganization that happened in Petronas Carigali. We call it under Malaysia Asset because we have two operations. One is Malaysia Asset, and we also have the international outfit. We have about 4,600 people working under this Malaysia outfit. It's mainly is an operation and maintenance outfit. So I just want to take you through where is this innovations or technology under my department. If you look here, I have 5 units under myself. If you go to the right, you see the AR is asset restorations. Basically, what we do is that we do the centralized campaign-based or centralized turnarounds. As I mentioned, this is a new unit. Previously, we have various regions unit, very region-centric. We have operations in we call it Peninsular Malaysia. We also have operation in Sabah. We also have operation in Sarawak. So this year we do some tweaking a little bit to prepare us to be a value-driven, low-carbon operator, and also to prepare the outfit, also the people to embrace and to face the energy transition or energy mix, like Professor Thomas said. So back to the department. We have restoration, technical services doing the centralized maintenance. We have asset engineering. This is where we house all the technical professional, multidisciplines, name it. We have all under this AE. We have asset delivery. This is the asset operation readiness. We do the facilities improvement projects. We also do the abandonment and decom. So whatever department that I mentioned, I'm talking under perspective of user, because we are the operation and maintenance outfit for Carigali. We have also assurance. We do the production Malaysia, production performance, for example, and also offshore safety regulations, audit and things like that. And the last bit is the asset innovation. Asset innovation, you're talking about the frontline excellence. I will touch a bit what is Flex all about. We also have infrastructure excellence, where we have a multiple terminal everywhere. We put together as one operating unit. We also have remote operations or digital operations and so forth. So that's a little brief introduction of my department. Noor, can we go to the next page? Okay, in general, you'll see here the map I mentioned to you. Reverse, okay, thanks. On the left is, you'll see a West Malaysia. The West Malaysia map, we have all the various platforms we have. Currently, we have integrated operation center in the place called Kerteh. If you go to the right side a little bit, you will see the East Coast, the West Coast part. The top one, the northern part is we have a Sabah operation, and then we have a Sarawak operation. So all the location have integrated operation center, or we call it a PDCC. Yep, and it's connected to the offshore, but not all the offshore. We are actually at the staggered phases of put digital automation, put some software, some apps, and we are moving to our end state, which is remote operation and also unmanned operation. But we have a total of 127 platforms. We cannot, we're not going to have all the platform remotely operated because in Malaysia, I think about more than 30% of our asset is actually matured asset entering a late life. So some will be remotely operated and some will be minimum manning, like Dr. Thomas mentioned just now. So we go to the next one. Okay, this is just an illustration for you. In order for us to have a minimum manning or remote autonomous or remote operation, we need to make sure that the operations, the platform, the facilities is well maintained. So this is where we have what we call it roving gang or CMP. CMP is a clustered maintenance planning and execution. What the people does is actually they will move from one platform to another platform doing the preventive maintenance. So the idea is that if we manage to perform this on the regular manner, on the structured manner, we would be able to create a value creation in terms of cost saving of G&A. We can also have OPEX reductions, and we also can minimize the numbers of people working on the platform. When I say minimize the numbers of people working in platform, it doesn't mean that we make the people redundant. No. What we try to do is that we want to be more efficient. Like right now in most of the Carigali operations, we have like 35 to 50 people on board at one time. So half is actually maintenance crew and another half is actually operation crew. So what we do and we've been doing right now is the maintenance crew we will take out from the platform and we create a team, we call it roving gang, right? So this will allow for centralization, sharing of common spares, sharing of resources and things like that. Okay, we go to the next page. Okay, I think this one is a bit detailed. I would like to go to the last page. Okay, I just want to take you through on what we have on plate right now. Rethinking the way that we operate. RAO is actually remote autonomous and operation. If you look at the left, I don't know how to use a cursor anyway, sorry. So first is that you have to make sure that your asset or your platform is automated first before you have this remote operation. So you have, we already installed some of the IoT or Internet of Things. For example, at the satellite platform, we have IoT, and this is actually, this IoT will bring or convert some of the pneumatic signal or gauges into electronic, into transmitter, right, and bring that to the nearby CPP or the central processing platform. So the idea is that we can reduce the numbers of travel or the daily commute of our technician from the main platform going to the satellite platform. So this actually, in a way, will reduce not only the diesels, the fast crew boat and so forth, but also the technician can be diverted to focus more on the productive work. And the second part is connectivity. Connectivity, right now we are using a radio, we are using a DMR. And as you know, that DMR is not really stable, but soon, I hope by next year, we have a fiber connected. And we also talk to some of the service provider. We want to have a 5G connected. So this will allow a more smooth transmission. And if you look at that, there is a word of upskill workforce. Okay, in order for us to make sure that we are able to be more efficient, we also need to do some upskilling. So our technician is currently, and some of them already passed the multi-skilling assessment. So if you have one instrument technician that can only do one trade, if you send them for the roving gang, that is not as efficient as compared to if we multi-skill that instrument engineer to also understand electrical, can do the electrical basic equipment care, for example. So the more efficient our workforce, the more efficient that we be able to complete all the work order at the platform. If we be able to complete the work order and reduce the backlog, right, then this technician have the opportunity to do the what we call it insourcing. So insourcing is also a vital part in Petronas, where some of the job that being carried out by third party is now carried by us. All right, that's just a basic thing. And number two, infrastructure. I already mentioned about the connectivity, and I also mentioned to you, Dr. Thomas already mentioned about the remote operation center. We have remote operation center in our Kuala Lumpur city center. We also have it in Sabah operation, in Peninsula operation in Kerteh. We also have it in Sarawak operation. And robotic. I hope Noor can play a 2-minute video after this. I want to show you, I want to share with you, this is the animal, we call it animal. It's a Petronas invested robot that will go, that will be going live next year, inshallah, yeah? Because it's not explosion proof, but it is ready. Okay, I think I covered basically what I want to cover on the Petronas side. Thank you, Noor.
All right, thank you very much. We're gonna go to the questions, and in the last question, there's the link about the video that you mentioned previously, so we can watch it at the end, if that's fine with you, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Just a second. Where is it working? Okay, that's question one. So what are the key factors that need to be in place to have a successful unmanned or digital platform operation? If Dr. Tony, if you can go first with that, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, if you want a successful, sustainable unmanned operation, or even a minimum manned operation, either brownfield or greenfield, there's 4 things you need to have covered. One, you need to be able to physically remotely control it from somewhere else. So you need to have that infrastructure, which Zamri has already talked about, you know, high bandwidth comms and the right level of automation to remotely control it. The second thing is you need a platform that's highly reliable. And this is a big problem. Many platforms are just not reliable enough to unman. And so when platforms are designed at a 95% uptime or availability, that's just not good enough for an unmanned operation, because you're down 5 days in 100. If you do the math, you'll be visiting a lot just to restart and reset and troubleshoot, and that kills your unmanned operation. So it has to be highly reliable, otherwise it's unsustainable. And then the third thing is you have to have a workload level which allows you not to be manned full time. And so the learnings that we have are that really unmanned platforms are not really viable unless you are close to 10,000 man hours of work per year or under that. And if you want a really good sustainable unmanned operation, you need to be closer to 5,000 man hours of work per annum. If you're up in the 15 or 20,000, you'll just be going a lot on a boat or in a helicopter with a big team. And then it puts into question, you know, your safety and integrity and your calculations for risk, or not by doing that. So, and then the final thing is you've got to have an aligned vision for operations of how you want to run this platform. And if it's a greenfield project, you need an aligned vision between the projects and operations. And often that is the case. We've recently did a study in the North Sea where 2 platforms were designed to be remotely controlled, and one of them was designed to be unmanned. And in its 10-year operation, it had never been unmanned. So we see this primarily, the biggest problem is resistance to change. Okay, is resistance to change and convincing everybody that this is a really, really good idea. So there are a number of technical things that need to be sorted, but really you've got to really want to do this because it's an organizational change problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tony. Mr. Zamri, the floor is yours, if you can please discuss this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Noor. To me, the key factors that need to be in place to have a successful unmanned or digital platform is, number one is it's safe. The facility must be safe. Second, must be reliable. I think I have the same view with Dr. Thomas. And the third is about the mindset change. When I say facilities must be safe, is that we must have a minimum fit for purpose automation of platform at the platforms. And we need to have our platform equipped with a safety system. For example, safety instrumented system, we need to have a DCS, PLC, or appropriate shutdown systems. We also need to have a relief system, blow down, automatic shutdown systems or unit shutdown system due to the process upsets, which has to do the job by its own. And we need to have a triple redundant safety system whenever necessary. Remember, I mentioned that we also started doing the maintenance from platform to platform, or what we call it a roving gang. Once this is unmanned, right, you don't have anybody on board, but the people who doing maintenance will still be there. So you need to make sure that it's also equipped with the automatic fire detection, suppression systems, and preferably you need to have a CCTV, if you will, and also at least some space or shelter for maintenance if you want to reduce the size of your accommodation work batch, for example. And the second part is reliable. This is very important because otherwise it defeats the purpose. You keep traveling back and forth to do the corrective maintenance, for example. So our program now, we started with 3 monthly visits, right? Our expression is that I wish that we can do it once a year, right? But because of the technology, the conversion of some of the equipment is still costly. We do not want to rock the boat. We start with a 3 monthly and we see how it goes after 2 years, for example, or maybe earlier. And we also need to have, this is what we have currently. We have automation system. We have the apps like, for example, Protean, where we can troubleshoot the rotating equipment from town, from KLCC, for example. We have technical people doing that. And the third one is very important, is on the mindset change or transformation. So this is what Petronas is actually undergoing since 2 years ago when we start doing this minimum manning. We need to prepare our frontliners our technicians, our engineers working at the platform, right? To make sure that they understand the changes, they understand the business case, and we need to also give assurance that this unmanned or minimum man is not, I mean, for our case, it's not to reduce the manpower. We want to create efficiency so that the new platform, we have Kasawari, for example, we have Limbayung, we have Bastari, we have many new greenfield projects which we need operator. So this is where we want to create efficiency so that we can lower down our UPC, lower down our OPEC, for example. We also need to engage with the union society in Malaysia. We have a union society to get their buy-in so that they understand and they embrace the changes. And one important thing is also about the training and development, right? I mentioned to you, we need to make sure that our staff is competent, right? We need to equip them with more than one discipline, not only technician, but also the engineers. Now, even post-reset, recently we already have hybrid operation and maintenance. We call it field engineer. We mix the production surveillance and field analyst to become FPA or field production analyst. So this sort of creativity need to be in place. That's why I say if even you're a geologist, you're a petroleum engineer, there will be abundant opportunity to me in the future to fit in this new technology. And I think that's all from me. Thank you, Noor.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're moving to question 2. For some reason, my slides are not working, but it is fine. Okay, what is the current state of the art for remote and minimum manned operations? And another part, what are the best examples in both brownfield operation and new greenfield projects? Mr. Zamri, can you go first? Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Before I answer this specific question, I like to put into a global state of art or global perspective in terms where we are. And I'm glad Dr. Tony have mentioned a lot about his company be able to operate and monitor remotely over 20 facilities. I think that's good. My reference, Dr. Tony, is always be Equinor, for example, in Norway, because I know they have a big CPP, which is totally unmanned. This is amazing. But I was informed that there is a nearby CPP, about 8 kilometers. So if I want to correlate back to Malaysia, the equivalent of that Equinor, but at the beginning, I would say that at the infant stage is the field that I worked before, which is PM9. What we do, PM9 have, we call it Tiong as an oil hub, and we also have Bekok Charlie as a gas hub, and we also have a Bekok Alpha. What we did 2 years ago, we embarked on this project, we call it PM9 simplification, that decomplex the Bekok Alpha, right? So in order to decomplex, we need to remove as much as possible the rotating equipment. So we do some reconfiguration of the pipeline, for example, and we decomp the living quarter. We will decomp the living quarter. So we're going to operate Bekok Alpha from Bekok Charlie. In order to do that, both Bekok field, all Bekok field, Tiong field is 40 years old facilities. It's very old, but there's a lot of prospect. We have a gas cap blowdown, for example. We have we are going to drill 10 wells very soon this year, and also continue next year. So when we have a lot of resources, it's worse for us to make or to convert this pneumatic facility into electronic facilities so that we'll be able to remotely control. So we want to have this Bekok Alpha to be operated from Bekok Charlie for in 2022, 2023, and later on 2025 we will also unman Bekok Charlie and operate from Tiong. And our aspiration is that by 2028 we also looking at the possibility of totally operate all these hub and also the facilities from our Keteh Operation Center or even from KLCC. So that is the state of the art, the current state of the art that we have in Malaysia. I also have many platforms to quote Resak, Angsi, Digital Oil Field. The only thing that we do not have yet is actually a totally unmanned. That is coming soon, inshallah, on the selected platform.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Zamri. Dr. Tony, if you could give us an insight about that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, everybody mentions Norway as being the place to look at. I mean, we don't see that actually. Their history is making very large manned platforms, and they actually have come to the unmanned operations party very late. Now, that doesn't mean to say they're not doing good stuff, but there's other areas you can go and look at which are moving beyond that. I mean, certainly, you know, we're beginning to see, you know, in Australia, we know of 2 operations, land-based operations, admittedly, but they're operating, you know, 5,000-6,000 wells and all the gas facilities across 2 states from the centre of Brisbane. And there's 2 companies doing that we know of. In terms of remote control in mining, you know, what's being done in Chile is, and in Australia is hugely impressive, where they're, you know, remotely controlling massive operations. If you look at brownfields, the one that stands out the most is Woodside Angel. So Woodside Angel has been an operation that's been online since 2007, 2008, and you know, traditionally a platform of that size and complexity would have had 50 or 60 or 70 people on board, and it's been highly reliable, extremely good. They go once every 2 months for 2 or 3 days, and bearing in mind this is 550 million standard cubic feet of production plus 50,000 barrels of condensate. I mean, this is not a small operation. There are some other good examples in brownfields, one in New Zealand called Pohokura, which is again, it's got all of the processing facilities. So it's got gas drying, water cleanup, it's got compression. It's a land-based operation, but they basically it's remotely controlled from New Plymouth, and they send an operator there once a month, and the maintenance team go for a few days per month. So there are some good brownfield examples. In terms of greenfield, we've been working with a number of projects in the North Sea. In Australia, we've worked with pipeline projects, we've worked with SAGD projects in Canada, and there's an awful lot of these projects in the pipeline now. We've worked on a project for a very large gas field, and it will be unmanned and remotely controlled, and it's got large production, water cleanup, acid gas recovery, full compression, full gas conditioning, and it will be unmanned. So basically, our view is any new gas operation, no matter how complicated, could be unmanned. If you look at oil production systems, we would currently say that the state of the art is if you took 100,000 barrel a day production system with all of the normal processing that comes along with that, you know, gas production, water cleanup, all of the stabilization, all of that, and you put it on an FPSO, the current state, we know of at least 3 projects which are looking at a POB of between 15 and 20 full time with no campaign maintenance on top of it. So continuous 15 to 20. And we would say that those production systems are currently in front-end engineering or detailed design, and they'll be online in a number of years, 3, 4, 5 years time. So really, and if you look at pipeline operations, you know, pipeline operations, again, ExxonMobil has a single control room for all its pipeline operations in North America, and that's been around for a very long time. So it is quite normal to do this in some facilities. We've just had a request for a chemical company to look at how to remotely control polyethylene and polypropylene production systems, chemical plants from, would you believe, 6,000 kilometers away. So things are changing very, very rapidly in this space at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now let's move to the 3rd question. Okay. Dr. Tony, could you go first? How do you develop a new remote, unmanned, or digital operation project concept?
So I mean, the first thing is you've got to identify whether the development project is an opportunity to go unmanned or minimum manned, and we would say all projects are now in that class. All of them, there's an opportunity for all of them. What we see is that often projects are set up in a very traditional manner, and they follow a very traditional process that basically hasn't changed for 20 or 25 years or even longer. And that most project teams are just thinking about the one that they did last time and how do they transition the one they did last time to the next one. So there's relatively little original thinking going on. We've actually developed a new project concept initiation process for one of the super majors to guarantee that every new project has at least one unmanned or minimally manned concept. And the key for this is to have a vision for how you want to operate this new project, and to have a combined vision and an aligned vision between operations and the project team. If you get misalignment between the projects and operations team, it generally doesn't go very well. And you've got to be absolutely clear on what you want. And then you do that in the very early project concept generation phase. It goes through to concept selection. If the unmanned operation is selected versus traditional project concepts, then you move forward with it. But then it's absolutely important that you have an engineering contractor with the right skills and experience, and you put the right contract in place with an engineering contractor to ensure that you get what you want. There's been a history, particularly in Norway, interestingly, of projects being launched as unmanned operations and then they've been failed. There are at least 2 or 3 platforms in the Norwegian sector that started out as unmanned and ended up manned. And you need to put the right project contract in place to make sure that the team that you assembled is going to actually deliver what you set out to deliver. And we see that you need to look at how you run your project processes and how you incentivize your engineering contractors and all of the other companies that you work with on this. And so we see a trend that operators are doing much more in-house to decide actually what they want from an unmanned project concept before they go to engineering companies. That's typically what we see. But this is a major barrier to delivering this in terms of getting your project teams on side to do this.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Tony. Mr. Zamri, can you go over this question? Thank you.
Thank you, Noor. To me, there is a big difference between developing a remote or digital operation for greenfield and between greenfield and also the brownfield. Greenfield to me is pretty much straightforward because you put your requirement, you going through the feasibility, all the stage gate, project conceptual, then you go to the front end and you put the contract and your FID. For brownfield, it's more challenging, especially when you have aging field. Like in Malaysia, we have a lot of aging fields. So in order to do that, first is that we need to automate the field. You have to convert because not all my field, for example, already have a transmitter. So we have to convert the pressure gauge, the temperature gauge, for example, into the electronic transmitter before we will be able to transmit that process value into your remote operation center. We have to change the relay panel to the PLC base to a proper shutdown systems. And we have to enhance a lot of things. We have to do the new control room and things like that. And you're actually working under a lot of constraint, a lot of space constraint, and also that space requirement and the limited layout. Same time, for the brownfield, there's another way. I think technology allow the use of IoT. We also have some venture with one of the technology provider where they just put a camera and we can have conversion of all this, even the wellhead panel meter into the digital format and be able to transmit that to town. And I would say that in order to do this, you might have a different approach. Most important is that you have to look the remaining PSC life, the remaining reserve, the potential, the nearby or the future development, whether it's actually viable, is it worth it for you to convert this to remote operations, or maybe just live with the minimum manning, for example. So that's all my view. Noor?
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Zamri, can you start with question 4? What are the key elements for success, and what are the barriers to implementing remote operational models? Thank you.
I will look into 3 key elements for success. I talk about barrier after this. The first one is reliable technology. Otherwise, as I mentioned, if you do not have a reliable technology, then you're back to square, where you need a lot of human intervention. And this is not what the desired state that you want. In order to have a reliable technology, we also need to have a good selection of technology. We want to have a reputable technology providers, for example. And most important is good track record, good support, good remote support. And I know there's a lot of new company, new digitech company coming up of late. So I think they offer a lot of diverse proposals, good system, but some of them are not proven. So some we need to do the pilot, for example. And a quick way is actually we learn also from other oil and gas company in terms of what they're using, and we also talk to other operators. The second bit is on the infrastructure system. I always mention about the connectivity. This is one of the essential criteria in order for you to have a successful remote operations. You need to have a good connectivity. You need to have a connection through fiber, for example, or 5G, or even the satellite. And second part is it must be a scalable, because it depends on how much you appetite, how much you want to invest, right? The system must be open system as much as possible, so that you're not going to live with that particular technology provider and stuck with the systems forever, right? That's why open system is also very important, and I believe that in the current technology, current world, open system or open gateway is actually a flavor of the day. And the third part is on the people. We need to prepare the team early, train them, provide them enough skill, and as well as also make sure that you mentally prepare them. So those are actually the key elements for success. In terms of barrier, I would say it's reverse of that, but among others, the barriers is actually cost. We must be economic, right? There's no point of putting the digital operations or invest in the technology if it is not economic. At least it has you need to be able to demonstrate to our management that this transformation will create a value at the end of the day. And another barrier is limited proven technology players in the world for certain skill set or technology. Number 4 is the barrier is also on the agreement itself. So as I mentioned that some technology provider, you need to have long-term investment with them, for example, more than 10 years or 15 years. So we get to look at all the overall options, pro and cons and things like that. Thanks, Noor.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Tony, if you can give us a quick explanation about this, because after that we're moving to the questions of the audience since there's a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Just one thing. I mean, for Greenfield, I don't think cost is a barrier. All of the Greenfield development projects we've worked on are lower CapEx and significantly lower CapEx and hugely lower OpEx. So we are improving the project metrics, and also they have higher availability. They'll take less time to construct. I mean, and to give you an example, we worked on a project just over a year ago, And when we went in to review the topside facilities on this platform, it was 15,500 tons. When we walked out the door, it was 9,000 tons. So we took over a third of the topside weight out, which dropped the capex for the facilities by 40%. Including the jacket. So a brownfield, absolutely, the cost is a barrier. There's no doubt about it. The other thing I would say is there are, the cultural side of this, and you need to be able to explain to everybody what's in it for me. What am I going to benefit out of this? And this is particularly difficult with certain functions in our industry. So if you go to a project guy and say, we're going to add digital, what does that do? That probably puts the capex up, in which case he's not going to buy into it. You can only add digital if you take the capex down for him. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. The classic example we've seen, again, strangely in Norway, is one company decided they wanted to do a remote control from the beach. And what did they do? They built a control room on the beach, but they thought, oh, we better just have a control room offshore just in case. So they built 2 control rooms that put the capex up. And not only that, the operations guys persuaded them only to use the offshore one. So they never actually implemented the onshore control room whatsoever. So in that case, it was an organizational resistance, a people resistance to change. And we see that a huge amount when we work with new greenfield projects. Sometimes we see the operations guys saying, we're going to go every 2 weeks and we don't care what the state of the platform is. Or we see projects guys who are just hell-bent on delivering the same one as last time. So typically we don't see the technology as a barrier, and we don't, certainly for greenfield, we don't see the technology. And there are complex unmanned operations which are over 10 or 12 years old. But what we do see is that there's a huge organizational and people resistance to doing these new concepts, and people have to be convinced of this. And so when we do this, there's one set of engineering studies that we do to prove that this is viable, and there's another set of engineering studies we do to convince everybody to do it. And basically, you do need another 50% of studies to convince people more than you would just to prove that it's viable.
Thank you very much. And now let's move to the questions of the audience. One of the questions was, as I quote what you said, resistance to change, how do we intend to enforce the change toward digitalization in the industry operations? Is it by applying constraints to those not complying? Because that actually brought to my attention the transition in energy concept and how companies would rather continue with conversational operations due to fears of economic consequences resulted by change. That's one of them. Mr. Zamri, can you go first? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you from the audience for the question. I think in short, the question is that how do we enforce the changes, right? Especially in facing this energy transition. Is it no?
Yes, yes.
As I mentioned that if you look, I'm referring to Malaysia as a context. Malaysia as said, for example, we have a lot of aging field, for example, and the production is declining from year to year. And some of the field we do not have a potential prospects anymore. But we need to survive, right? So the essence is that how do you survive when you have a declined production, but the cost of maintenance is the same? So we need to change. We need to do the transformation. So one of those transformation is that in order for you to be efficient is that you need to also tweak your operating model. So this is where the digital operation or remote operation will come into picture. And to me, we in Malaysia, we are not able to do that on the piecemeal basis. It's not going to work. That's why we have, I mentioned to you my department called IVA, Integration, Value and Assurance. So we have a total of 127 platforms, the whole Malaysia. So when we do this minimum manning, less manning, fit for purpose, we do it as a total MA asset. This is where we can create value. because we can provide a campaign-based maintenance rather than a piecemeal platform by platform. So I hope I give the response to the question. No.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, thank you, Harizi from UTM University, for asking this question. Dr. Tony, could you also give us your thoughts about this? Thank you.
So I think there's two things. There's one, overcoming the resistance to change, and we see that in two varieties. There's the personal people resistance. I've done this the same way for 20 years. I don't want to do it a different way. And there's the organizational resistance to change in terms of, and that might be with different functions or different groups or different teams inside an organization. And I think you've got to understand that what's in it for me, what's in it for a project engineer to do something very different to what he's done previously. What's different for an operations manager to accept this operational model. And, in many respects, that's having gathering the evidence and providing and having a challenging but open conversation about the workshop. So that's very much there. I think there was another part to this question about energy transition. Interestingly,
there was a bit about transition and energy. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, interestingly, we worked with one project on and off for a couple of years in the North Sea, and when we got called in, they were asking a question, how do we justify power from the beach, And of course, the power from the beach, the cable and the power on the beach was expensive and more expensive than having turbines offshore. But when you take all of that equipment off the platform, then that means an unmanned platform is much more viable, or a minimum manned platform is much viable. So you get some of your money back from doing that. But now in the last year, 18 months, it's changed. That project is now saying we're going to run a cable to offshore and we're going to power it by wind turbines on the beach, right? So now it's, that power from shore and the green agenda is being seen as an enabler to having a carbon neutral production system offshore, and part of that is having less people there. So we see this emerging, especially in the European operators, I would say, who are really beginning to think this way, that actually this might be an opportunity to do different models. And then the other thing I would just touch on, Mr. Gamry said, having a critical mass of platforms, so having 120 of these and being able to share and do synergy and all of that is helpful. That's an advantage. We sometimes come across, operators in the North Sea that have got two operations. Well, it's kind of difficult to share things and do campaign stuff when you've only got two of them, So playing that synergy card, if you've got that critical mass and aggregating support, aggregating teams, sharing things for shutdown planning or whatever it is a very good way to go if you've got the right range of operations which are geographically reasonably co-located,
Yeah, thank you very much. There's also another question from, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Anwaruddin from SPEKL, and it's for Mr. Zamri. Looking, most assets are aged in Malaysia. What are the most common challenges in automation, remote and digital operations, and what are some of the things that can be done to make it possible? Thank you. It's for Mr. Zamri.
Thank you, Mr. Anwar, for asking the question. I ran through some of the barriers or the challenges in converting or transforming our aging asset into a digital platform. One of the challenges is actually, as I mentioned, that some of this field is too old. It's 40 years old. And you just imagine if you walk into the 40 years old field, they do not have PLC, we don't have DCS, for example. It's a relay base. And the relay base, as you know, that if there is any failure, right? If you want to replace that relay, sometimes the part is also the issue. So the challenges, if you want to transform that, is that you have to transform all this pneumatic into the electronic relay base replaced with the PLC, and we are talking about the cost. Sometimes the issue is that some field, we are blessed in Malaysia, we have some of the field, even though they are 40 years old, but they have a good remaining reserve to evacuate. And in fact, we have some potential gas cap blowdown, for example, but not all the fields is like that. So the question is that whether is it necessary for you to transform? This is where we have some selection criteria, for example. Some of the field, which is high UPD, right? It's an old field, but it doesn't have, I would say that it's entering late life, for example. There's no point for us to spend a lot of money. So we have a concept, we call it run to end, right? Minimum maintenance. We make sure that the asset integrity is there. It's a very minimum investment because the field is actually facing a very rapid production decline. So this is our problem in Malaysia. Like I mentioned just now, we also being blessed at the same time. We look into the overall perspective. If we want to do it campaign-based, we do it campaign-based in most of this. That's why when I said roving gang, we are not pick and choose. When we say roving gang, we do it all. But roving gang is not going toward total unmanned. But at least we can reduce the manning by half. This is very important because just imagine if you reduce the manning by half, you're going to reduce HAC issue. You're going to reduce the catering, right? But are we, and I like to mention again, does it mean that we make people redundant? No, because we have a lot of productive thing for our technician to do, right? Thank you, Anwar.
Thank you very much. Wait, there's also another question that I'm finding it right now. Just a second, thank you. Okay, that's it. I believe all the SCE you've mentioned, especially hard barriers, are all in place when the HSE case in development and updated every 5 years. Also, CMMS is in place to see any issues with any system or equipment. Therefore, all assets are categorized as safe. Is this a fair observation? This is from Amir. Thank you. It's to Mr. Zamri as well.
Right. Actually, I'm not. First, thank you, Amir, for asking the question. But can you say again the questions? This is not really clear.
Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah, please.
Or do you want me? Yeah, sure, no problem. It is okay. I believe all the SCEs you've mentioned, especially hard barriers, are all in place with the HSE case in development and updated every 5 years. Also, CMMS is in place to see any issues with any system or equipment. Therefore, all assets are categorized as safe. Is this a fair observation?
Yeah, I think what Mr. Amir referring of SCEs is a safety critical equipment, right? And offshore. So to me, if I want to put in the context of digitalization, whether you have remote operation or you have full board, this is something that we need to make sure that we maintain and make sure that the reliability and integrity of all these SCE and also head barrier are intact. So there is no two way about it. If I can address that, Mr. Amir. There are certain things that does not change whether you operate this with man or less manning or digital manning. For example, even the well testing. This is another example. It's not about SCE, but well testing is we do the monthly well test, And for Serigali, if we can have one successful well testing, that is considered acceptable. So if we go unmanned, how do we change this? Right? Since we are doing a roving, we have two choices. First is that we're doing by through the campaign base or the people that are doing roving. Second is that we also have the opportunity with the technology to convert that diverter to make it actuated diverter valve. Then you can have a well testing remotely. The facilities are there. It's a matter of whether it's suitable for that platform or not. So what I want to say is that some of the element, the basic element for the safe operations, even pigging, for example, you have no choice. We have to do it. And I don't know, maybe I have to consult Dr. Tony whether you have seen the platform that on the yearly visit, once a year, how do they address the pigging, for example? Yeah.
So, I mean, the way we did it in Southern North Sea is we had multiple pig launches. So we had a pig launcher with 5 or 6 pigs in it. So basically the pig launcher was designed to line up with the visit frequency that we wanted to go for maintenance, as was everything else. So, you know, if your vision is that you want to go once a month, then everything you got to do can't be on a more, you know, can't be on a frequency of less than once a month. I mean, we found some interesting thing with cranes. You know, BP brought in, you know, must do this check daily and this check weekly and this check monthly, you know, and this check quarterly. Now, some of our platforms had a crane on, but we were only going once every 3 months. So the first thing we had to do when we got there was do the quarterly check, the monthly check, the daily check all together. But because we weren't using it in between, it didn't matter. I mean, just one point on the safety side, you know, I think, you know, there are a number of myths about unmanned operations. One of the myths is that it's less safe. It's not less safe. It's more safe because you have less people there, you know, and people cause a lot of the incidents. So, you know, it's quite clear if you have, certainly if you work in a risk-based HSE regime, certainly you can absolutely demonstrate that minimally manned platforms and unmanned platforms are significantly safer than fully manned platforms. There's no doubt about that. And even to the point that you know, if a platform is unmanned and you only go for 2 days a month or 4 days every 2 or 3 months, do you need a deluge or not? You know, and if you run the risk numbers on that, the deluge buys you no improved risk at all. So why have something which you have to maintain and test and douses your platform with salty water and causes everything to corrode? In actual fact, it's a really bad thing to do. So, but what I would say is that unmanned operations need to be inherently safe and designed to be inherently safe because, you know, we can't have people checking on them all the time. So we have a number of rules of thumb, you know, electrical good, mechanical bad, you know. So wellhead, you know, wellhead trees, electrical actuation, you know, or electrohydraulic is a really good way to go instead of having, you know, hydraulic panels, which after 25 years become very unreliable, you know. So you've got to think about the design. Certainly in new greenfields, we're having things like stainless steel topsides, because then you've got no painting programs, you've got no corrosion inhibitor, you've got no corrosion inhibitor distribution. And at the face of it, it sounds like it would cost a lot more money, but when you add it all up over the overall concept, it actually works out cheaper. So, you know, I think there's a bit of a myth about this safety and, you know, environmental thing. You can absolutely demonstrate they're safer operations.
Right. Maybe no, can I add a little bit from Dr. Tony's statement just now? I entirely agree with Dr. Tony, because when you talk about unmanned, whether is it safer or not, to me it's safer because there are less people. I give you an example. Now in Malaysia, we have a lot of field with high contaminant, high H2S, high CO2, right? So I give you 3 development. This is a requirement from the host authority in Malaysia, we call it MPM, or Malaysian Petroleum Management, right? For this, the development in Sarawak, for example, the Lang Lebah field, we have Rosemary Majoram, we have a B14, right? Okay, these all fields are gearing toward the NUF, or normally unattended facilities. This is the way to go, because you have high CO2, you have high H2S, for example. So it's the best. If you can have the lesser people, the better would be. Thank you, Noor.
Okay, thank you very much. Also, we're running out of time, so I'm just gonna get the last question, and that's it. Okay, it's from Pre. From declining production fields, for declining production field, is it higher cost to implement digitalization than doing with conventional methods of operating that platform? For both of you, if you want, Dr. Tony, you can start first. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, no, I've got that. I mean, I think when it comes to converting old brownfields, 40-year-old old brownfields, you know, I was involved in converting West Seoul Charlie and West Seoul Bravo to unmanned status in the middle of the 90s, between 95 and 97. And they were 45-year-old platforms in the North Sea. In fact, they were 2 of the 3 oldest platforms in the North Sea. But there was a window of opportunity. They were so old, we had to do something. We had to upgrade some stuff. We couldn't get away with it, but the reservoir was very good. So we still had another 10 or 15 or even 20 years of life left. And so there was a window of opportunity to go in and upgrade, convert, simplify, add some digital, do a bunch of other stuff and turn them. You know, these platforms in the middle of the 1980s had 50 or 60 people on board. And by the time we finished with them in 98, 99, we were going once every two months for 2 or 3 days with a team of 10. But that window of opportunity is often missed. You know, you've got to have a reasonable field life left to be able to spend some money to make the improvements to do this. And unfortunately, what I see in the North Sea is often it's been left too late. You know, you've only got 3 years left on the field life or 5 years left on the field life, and you just cannot justify spending the money to make the changes to extend the field life. It just doesn't work. So I think there is that. I think in terms of digitalization, you've really got to understand, okay, you're going to put new sensor technology, you're going to do whatever it is, but what's the bottom line? What are you really gaining from this in terms of more oil, more gas, less cost? You know, the classic things that we all work with, and often we see digital being applied for digital's sake, you know, and digital shouldn't overcome good basic design and engineering. You know, if you want to monitor a pump, you know, and add the digital technology to monitor that pump, well, great, fantastic. But if you bought a bad pump, what does that monitoring systems tell you? It tells you it's going to break down a lot and tells you you bought a bad pump. Now, the root cause to that is buy a good pump or change it out for a good one, you know. So fundamentally, you know, the digital stuff will buy you a lot of benefit, but often, you know, you've got to really think about why you're doing it. And I think, you know, the mantra we would say in unmanned ops and minimum manned ops is simplify first and then digitize. You know, do the simplification, do the reliability, and a lot of that is traditional stuff, and then add on the digital stuff, which enhances it yet again, I would say.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, Doctor. Now, Mr. Zamri, could you also give us a bit of insight on that question? Thank you. And that's going to be the last question. After that, we're running out of time. Sorry about that.
Okay, thanks, Noor. I think the question is about the declining field, lesser production, digital or not, remote operation or not. I think my answer is again, it depends. Like Petronas Carigali, our concept is actually we go for value rather than volume. So we are going to a value-driven, low-carbon operator. So if by doing the automation, it create a value, right? Then we go for it. But when we say digitalize, it's not necessarily that you have to have a full-blown. You can have a partial. If you have, you know that your field is only 2 to 3 years before end of life. So you need to be very savvy, very creative. You know? So maybe you will lease some of IoT. There are a lot of leasing. There are a lot of leasing arrangement nowadays, even in Malaysia, and I found that is quite effective because it's a zero capex. It's just a small opex, right? So this is again depends on the appetite and also the value that you want to create over the late life field. That's all, Noor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're having a photo session. So if you could like smile, thank you. Yeah, everyone open up your cameras and let's smile for the photo session.
I'm not able to switch on my camera. It says the host prevented me from doing so. Can we get that checked?
Yeah, it's the same for me as well.
Me too.
Yep, technicals, please.
Technicals, can you please fix that issue so we can?
Awesome, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Is it fine? Is it sorted?
Good. We even have people from offshore, I think. Is that Sharil? Oh, to the, directly connecting to offshore, you know?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be unmanned.
Man, you know?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
No, he's the only man there.
Maybe the only man
there. So, okay.
Unmanned to man. Yeah, unmanned to man, becoming old man. Old man.
You need a man to man the unmanned platform. He's the one.
Asli Superman.
All right, Fatin.
Okay,
All right.
amazing.
Thank you.
And with the photo, yeah.
Also, if you could, now my colleague Mariam will share her screen. There's a feedback form. If you can scan the QR code and fill it at the end of the session, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Noor. So the feedback form link has been shared in the chat box, so please do fill it so you can get your certificate after this event. And now I'm gonna share my screen. For the code. Can you see my screen?
Yep. QR code is there.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So please scan this. Thank you.
Okay, did you guys all scan it? Is it sorted?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And now I just wanted to remind you to stay tuned with us. We've got events every Saturday, so register and attend them. And I'm hoping you enjoyed the session. And I just want to thank Dr. Tony and Mr. Zamri so much for their time and for their cooperation. You really helped us a lot with your questions and answers and with the presentation. Thank you, and thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Thank you for the awesome session.
Thank you.
Good job, organizer.
Thank you, Zamri and Excellency.
Zamri and Dr. Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Bakar and Dato Anwar.
Will be fair. Excellent, Zamri. Excellent.
Thank you, everyone. Good job.